with the cast it has, with the look it has, I have to admire, because I've worked on a ton of film sets, so I appreciate the work that went into it. I guess for me, I wanted to bring you on because I've read people who, I don't know what they're like, yeah, this is better than every Superman movie, or this is the best Superman movie. And I'm like, is it?
I don't know about that.
Yeah. But there's fans out there who are that dedicated to this, because I have to deal a lot with reviews for my job and audience comments. And so I've become really attuned with how the trends of how like cult classics go, or how people receive movies. And a lot of Brightburn comments about, yeah, this is the best Superman movie. And maybe people just love the idea of it, and it's a good idea.
Yeah, it really is. It's definitely a good idea. I do think there's definitely corners that need to be hashed out more, like this language that he's kind of tripping into, and where this spaceship actually came from, and, are there more coming, or something like that. I gotta say, if that opening sequence, that prologue, when the ship crashes and you look out the window and there's this dark red glow. Sorry, I'm not rushing over to it and taking whatever's in there out. I've seen War of the Worlds. I'm not going after the thing that crashes. Yeah. So it just seems like, okay, I'm going to suspend my disbelief here for that. But to say this is the best of the Superman movies, it's just not. Because I think it's just not. I could stop there, but I like to ramble. It's an exciting Superman.
We're both teachers. We ramble for a living, so it's cool.
Oh, I mean, seriously, and English teachers, this is what we do.
The hour-long class isn't going to fill up on itself,
There's nothing worse than asking me a yes or no question, because it's never going to get a short answer.
It's funny you asked that.
I had my junior English teacher in high school used to say, eschew excess verbiage. It's just like, cut out the crap. And it's like, no, this is more fun. I think what people like here is that it's different. It's not the same old Superman film. And I think the Superman film has a place. I have a very soft spot for the original Christopher Reeve Superman. I saw Zack Snyder's Justice League recently, and I thought that was done pretty well. I know that there is an entire lore back and forth in which iteration of Superman or Bizarro Superman or all these. I don't know this stuff, so forgive me if I misspeak on any of them, but there's all these different versions because they keep trying to retell the same story. And there's going to come a point when that gets old. And old is boring. You want something different. And so I think people are grabbing onto this because Superman is the pure embodiment of good. And good will always triumph. And in the real world, that's what you want. You want good to triumph over evil. But this is a movie. I don't want good to always win because that's what I hope for. I want an escape. I want something that's going to get my heart rate up. I want something that's going to be exciting and maybe make me worry a little bit like this does. I find that more interesting.
So it's no wonder that Game Over, why you went and watched Saw twice in one day.
Oh, God. The Charlie Clouser's score for that film, when I hear it, I am immediately transported back to that seat. And that last 20 minutes, it's one of my favorites. I just love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh God, it just makes me happy. And then, as a teacher, I don't get to show Saw, unfortunately, but having shown movies like Memento and The Usual Suspects and watching my students watch those films for the very first time, it's just like the highlight of a career for me.
Oh yeah. Whatever, this is probably 13 years ago. I showed I Heart Huckabees to my humanities class, and they loved it. Yes. Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will talk more Brightburn. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Lisa, I'm going to drop something weird on you. I want to know your top 3 favorite moments from this movie.
Top 3 favorite moments from this movie. Okay.
Are we going to get a list with 14?
No, I would stick to the 3. In fact, what I was pondering was, do they have to be ranked, or can I just give you 3 in no particular order?
Rapid fire. No ranks.
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind is when the lights are flickering out and you can see him hovering outside the window and you just see those red eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I see those red eyes, it's like, yes, this is the best. I wish when he was at his aunt's house and you see her, whatever that room is, there's like a black square to the left of the frame where he eventually shows up. And I really, 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 really wanted to see those red eyes show up there and just glow in the dark. I gotta give that the car accident, where Uncle Noah, where his jaw falls off his face. Because in the theater, I'm pretty sure I, said something out loud. Because it's one thing to get a jump scare. It's another to have a jump scare work on me. That was just outstanding. And then this poor guy, he's trying to hold his face on and he's just drowning in his own blood. And then when he finally lets go and you get another shot at, like, I imagine sitting at that writer's table and people going, okay, so this is going to be bad. And then somebody just going, yeah, but what if we did it again? It's just so evil. And then you brought up when he drops his mother from that super, super high height. That is my nightmare. I don't remember the movie Cliffhanger. I remember the beginning of Cliffhanger because there's nothing more horrifying to me. And thank God, please God, don't ever let me experience it. The idea that you are just falling to your death and there's nothing you can do. You can't grab onto anything. There's nothing that's going to catch you. You're not going to accidentally hit a rock and stop. It's just free fall, wait until you die. And I think that's awful.
We've talked about Rennie Harlan before, and I just watched Cliffhanger again for an episode. We were supposed to do a 20-minute Final Fights episode and ended up going 50 minutes. But people like it. They're having a lot of fun with it. But that fall, Rennie films her falling for an excessive amount of time. I have never just thought, wow, this is a lot of falling. And it's brutal. But you're right. The different angles that they show that fall, just oof. And that's what I remember about it. When Tory Breyer's dropped, that's definitely in my top 3. When the officer, I have his name right here. Oh, Gregory Allen Williams, Sheriff Deaver. When Sheriff Deaver gets wiped out.
Blink and you miss it. Like in the movie theater, I was like, wait, what the hell happened? I need a remote.
And so they didn't have a lot of budget. The director talked about that, and they didn't have a lot of budget, so they just wiped him out. But that's one of those moments where you don't have to see it all because it's just so gnarly. Oh man. And then when Noah gets dropped, I mean, that's just, you have a crane in the middle of nowhere holding a car up in the air and then just dropping it. I love a good practical effect. I love that they destroyed a car. I love that they dropped it from a high height from a gigantic crane. I wish I would have been there. That would have been a lot of fun. I like a good second unit shoot. Those are definitely my 3 favorite on there.
Honorable mention to that scene. Let's throw this in there. So I got 2 for this. 1, you've got the fact that the car is malfunctioning. And so when he kind of gets it to brighten up, he gets the lights on and Brandon is standing ahead of him, a couple of yards away, on the ground. And then the next time they come on and he's floating and Noah's like, no, time to go. I'm like, yes, that's a fantastic moment because that's real. Yeah. If any of us saw that, that's exactly what would happen. That fantastic Tracy Morgan gif that's out there where he's like, nope. We would all be there.
And that Badger from Breaking Bad sells that moment for sure. No, I love that. And what did you think about the Brightburn suit? So Autumn Steed was the costume designer, and she was on the commentary with the cinematographer Michael Dallatorre, and then the director. It was the 3 of them on there, David Yarovesky. They were quite open about talking about the film. And now, I'm a big fan of production design. I teach production design. I'm a big fan of costuming. In this movie, though, they draw they create something interesting very early on where you have Brandon being carried in a red blanket, dropped by a red thing. And throughout the movie, Brandon wears red. And the family, they wear blue. Now, I get that from a storytelling, psychological, you are seeing different colors. The kid has a red hood with gray sweatshirt. Then he has an almost entirely red soccer shirt. So he goes from some gray to red. I like it, and I like that they thought about the wardrobe, and I think that's important. And they also wanted the costume to look homemade because a child made it. But it just, I guess you're never in doubt who the villain is. So when you see that red, it takes, I I mean, they don't want the kid in a black color, right? Because that, the significance of that. And I don't know, Brightburn, red. I guess I couldn't have done any differently.
It's not very subtle. I feel like there might have been something extra that could have been taken away, something that could have been edited out of that. I don't have any recommendations.
Well, how about in Get Out, right? The couple in the beginning, they dress the same. And then she starts, in the middle of the movie, she wears a different top than he does to kind of signify she has some red on her. And at the end, she's all in the crisp white, kind of cultish. So that's more subtle right there.
Yes.
Like she's dressed like him, then she pulls away a little bit, then she's crisp white. That's a much more subtle costuming. And I hate hating on this thing because it shows they put thought into this and they didn't have much time. And I appreciate that. But once again, it's like this kid's going to turn evil. So then the surprise, I mean, the trailers gave it away, but
that's why I don't watch them.
Yeah, exactly. You just know this kid's evil. And
I do.
But I wonder if there's a different way to approach, and we obviously don't have any correction. Like, we're not saying, I have no way to make it better.
Right.
But the red thing in the beginning, it just seems very, you just know where it's going, right? And maybe I like catching things I didn't catch. But as soon as I saw this movie, I saw it. I didn't need the commentary to tell me that. It put thought into it and I like it, but I don't know. What do you think about all the red?
I agree with what you're saying there. It's not one of those films that each time you watch it, you're going to catch something else. I think it's a very simple film. I think it is what it is. There really isn't any ambiguity here. You're not wondering about, well, if he had done this, it just would have gone differently. No, you've got a kid who's evil and he's wreaking havoc on everybody. And he didn't start off as evil. So that's kind of the tragedy, like the baby, puberty turned him evil, maybe. I think you're right. Like, I think that maybe if the colors had changed a little bit more subtly, like you're saying, his room doesn't really have red in it. I think that maybe if there had been an extra adjustment, like maybe we start seeing more of it in the bedroom or his backpack or something, we really only get his development from that notebook. Yeah. And how he's constantly like kind of creating this emblem, if you will. But there really isn't more than that. Like we don't see, it would have been interesting to see that ski mask kind of thing in a different context. Yeah. And then now he's made it into this creepy mask that he uses. I think that would have been interesting. The mask kind of reminds me, and here I am talking about how I don't know anything on comic books, but I've been reading Neil Gaiman's The Sandman series, and Morpheus Dream, that helmet he's got, where it's kind of got this long, almost like plague doctor-ish kind of look. This almost has that. Like there's this weird sort of like elephant trunk thing coming off it, which never really made sense to me other than, well, what is this thing? It looks interesting, as opposed to just, here's my ski mask that I ripped up a bit. And again, like, I don't, like you, I'm not looking to bash on it. I just think it's, okay, budget, maybe they didn't have time, maybe they tried a few things, and this is the one that looked most unsettling, and this is the one they went with. I'm willing to suspend that disappointment, let's say, because the rest of the film, caught me in so many other ways.
Yeah. And Autumn kept trying to talk about the mask, and then David kept interrupting her. He did that about 6 times during this. And I was like, just let her talk about the mask. Like, I want to hear about the costuming. And he kept interrupting her. So I was like, just give me the mask. So maybe I'm a little frustrated from that. I have it in my notes, too, in all caps. Like, let her finish her story.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Yeah, but I mean, but once again, for a $6 million movie shot over the course of maybe 20 days, 25 days, for the budget it had, it's still effective. And also I think it was really hampered at the time because that was when James Gunn, so remember they were going to go to Comic-Con with it, but James Gunn was under fire for those tweets that he had. So then he didn't show up to do that. And then the movie kind of got tainted by not having his name on it. However, James Gunn, though, I mean, Belko Experiment did not make much money. Slither did not make much money. Super did not make much money. It's a really interesting thing about Gunn where he makes these cult classics that or produces them or writes them. Well, his scripts are Dawn of the Dead and Scooby-Doo made bank. But I think it's interesting that he has these cult classics out there that he went from making Slither and Super, which basically made no money, to doing Guardians. But then he was able to tone down his R-rated aesthetic and hit the PG-13 without being totally watered down. And now he's just a global superstar. But when he directs something on his own, his R-rated movies, they don't really make money, or his produced movies, or written movies.